It's that time. It's that time. Hello everyone. Welcome to or welcome back to my channel. If you're new, my name is Maura. If you're not new, hello. First thing I'm gonna say is that I don't want to say made a mistake. And I don't want to say I was too ambitious because I wasn't too ambitious. What I was out of time. Here's what's going on. Today is September 23rd. And I have read one book on my TBR for this month. Oh my god, wait. I have read 5 books this month. Normally I'm reading like at least 10. I have not been doing that. I've been really busy. If you watched my September TBR video, you would know that the plot of that was to find the 5 books that I wanted to knock off of my TBR shelf in the month of September. I read one of those books. I haven't been reading. So at this rate, my September wrap up is gonna be like a 4-minute video. And that's not what I'm gonna do. So it's that time again where I'm going to be doing a 24-hour reading vlog. Now, mind you, I have a job, I'm a student, I cannot do 24 hours straight. I've addressed this issue before. I cannot do 24 hours straight, so what I'm gonna be doing is setting a timer for 24 hours and seeing how much I can read in that 24-hour time frame. What I've found is that this helps me read because 1, I have like a deadline, and 2, I have another deadline because I'm filming a video for it. This week, I don't think I have that much school-related things I need to be doing. I don't have any exams or anything like that, just like normal assignments that I would have any other time. So I feel like this is a good week to start. Today is Saturday though. I have to leave for work very shortly, so I'm not going to be reading today, but tomorrow is when it's going to start. I will tell you guys what book I will be reading tomorrow, that I can just jump right into it. That is The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I have read this book before. I read it 2 years ago. I didn't love it. I think I gave it like 2 or 3 stars. Like, I did not love this book. I was in a reading slump when I read it. I just could not get into it. I'm going to be rereading it. This was on my TBR shelf for this month. I figured, here we go, why don't we read it? I actually read 1 chapter last night and then stopped because I was so tired and had a raging headache. I'm gonna be so for real. I had a terrible weekend, so I just want to sit and read. I'm going to press start and I'm gonna keep reading The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I'm gonna hit start, dissociate for a little bit, and just read. I am now home. I have 18.5 hours left. So I read for about 5.5 hours so far, but I also was reading for a while and then realized that I never hit resume. I actually don't know if that's accurate, but I'm just gonna go with it anyway. I actually read 4 books today, but only 2 of them were off of my physical TBR for this month, so I figured I was only gonna count those ones. The other 2 books I read were Kindle. These are the 2 books that I read today. I did finish reading The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I tabbed it a little bit. I think it's safe to say at this point that this book is just not for me. Like, I have read it twice now. My rating did not change, and I wasn't in a reading slump this time. I don't know, this book just like, it didn't hit for me, and I don't like how, like, I know it went over a span of 60-70 years of this woman's life. I just feel like we missed out on so many important moments with her and Celia that would have like made the relationship even stronger from a reader's perspective. We literally only got them like arguing, you know, like it was only like 2 moments of them actually being in love, and I just feel like that's so annoying. A second time around, still didn't like it. I rated it 2 stars, which is what I gave it the first time. I didn't like Evelyn. Like, I did not like her at all. She just only cared about fame in my eyes, and I just wasn't her biggest fan. If you disagree, that's totally fine. Next, I read The Grimrose Girls. So this is about these girls and their best friend dies and she drowns, and people are kind of like, well, it was probably a suicide, and her friends are saying that it's not because it just seems a little too suspicious. She's one of their very good friends, so they're like, she wouldn't she wouldn't do this. Like, you guys don't know her like we do. But basically they end up uncovering the fact that this is not the first time a death has taken place at this prep school that they're at. I also gave this a 2-star. I think I gave it a 2.5 because like I see the potential in this, but I just didn't like this one either because this is a mystery slash thriller. There were some parts where I was like, that's actually kind of gross. Like, I think this is a YA book, and I was like, wow, that's disgusting. Like, if I can guess the plot of mystery, then it's not gonna be a very high rating because I suck like figuring out what the plot twist could be. So the fact that I could predict who this was, that says something in my eyes. There's also a second book. So in this book, it's just them figuring out like what the death actually was and like what happened. The second book is about actually saving the girls that are dying. And I'm like, well then why does this say their own fates are tied to the stories, dooming the girls to brutal and gruesome endings unless they can break the cycle for good? So they never broke the cycle. So it leaves you on a cliffhanger. I will not be reading the second book. Tomorrow I'm going to start reading Twisted Love. I had already read this. I read it as a library book and I want to be able to annotate it and tab it and everything, so I'm going to read it again. We'll see you guys tomorrow when I'm reading Twisted Love. And I know I'm going to like this book because I've already read it and I did like it, so good signs coming forward. I read this book literally like maybe 6 months ago and I gave it 4 stars. Reading it now, I'm like, this is at most a 3. I just don't like Alex. And the thing is, I know what happens. He's just like a little too primal for me. Some of the things he says, I'm just like, I'm gonna close the book and just like take a break. But yeah, I'm like a little bit over halfway right now. I'm gonna finish this tonight, but I just wanted to update. This book, I gave this 4 stars months ago. I have no idea what I'm gonna rate this now, but it's not 4 stars. It's gonna be less than 4 stars. My thing with this book is this poor girl, she goes through so much, and I just feel like it's crazy to think that she's gonna forgive this man and they're just gonna be in love. Something else is just like, if my brother knew, like her brother knows the kind of stuff that she's going through, and he's just also okay with it. And he's like, you know what? You did do all of this stuff, but wish you all the best. Like, my brother he'd be like, are you for real? And then he'd go find this man and rip him to shreds even worse. I understand it's fiction, but like, can we be so for real? This stuff he did to her. Her brother and her, they're just like, whatever. Like, are you kidding? I don't know what I'm rating this. Considering my wrap-up is already out, you guys will know, but right now I have no idea. Next up on my September TBR, this is the last book on my September TBR, and it is Beautiful Bastard by Christina Lauren. It is a workplace romance, and it is about Chloe, and she is the assistant to Bennett, and he works in his family's like big media business. The whole kicker of it is like, oh, he's never hooked up with anybody he works with, like he's like off limits to everybody, and then he meets Chloe and he's like, maybe I'm not off limits to everybody. I've had this book for like almost a year. I think like 10 months. I've had it for quite some time. I think I could finish it. I just read the craziest line accidentally. But my point is, I think I could finish this tonight because it's only like 300 pages. I'm gonna have plenty of time left. I don't know what I'm gonna read. I will be doing something else. Actually, should I pick what book I should read next so that I have something to look forward to? Like, it would be logical of me to continue reading the Twisted series because I have it. I don't have the rest of this series, but I have the rest of this one sitting right there. I'm looking right at it. I'm in the middle of Magnolia Parks, so I think I'm gonna continue that after because I love it. This is what I'm gonna be reading for tonight. I just need y'all to know I'm on page 10. She's showing him her presentation that she made because she's an intern, and he got up and started touching her. Like, I'm super what the I'm literally on page 12. Like, I'm on page 12. This feels weird. This feels gross. Can I be so honest with you guys? This book is ridiculous. And I don't mean that in a good way. We're on chapter 4. The amount of smut that has been in this so far is ungodly. And now suddenly he's like, oh my god, no, I need her. Like, she's not allowed to be with any other guy. And it's like, the other times that they've interacted, Like, I know this is supposed to be like workplace enemies or whatever for God knows what reason, it doesn't tell you. But literally, if he isn't with her, he's calling her a bitch. And I'm like, I want to DNF this book so bad already. And I was really excited for this book, and that's what's really disappointing. And I just feel honestly quite uncomfortable. Like, it's non-stop. The things he says I think is gross. Like, he literally just called her a bitch as we speak. Like, I just looked down and that's what he called her. And it's like, there's a difference between like enemies and you guys like not getting along. There's like this tension between you, but like this isn't enemies. This is just like, they're not good people, and it's not entertaining. I just feel uncomfortable and gross, and I don't like it. Should I DNF it? Ugh, I didn't want to though. They're literally like doing it again. I cannot do it. Like, I have to DNF this. I made it like 100 pages in. There's just no plot to this besides them just like having sex at work all the time. There's no plot in this. Everything that's on the back, like, you would have no clue that this is even like part of the plot, because literally all they've been doing is just each other. Like I cannot do it. It makes me uncomfortable. I feel gross. I don't like it. DNF. I'm done. Like, I really didn't want to DNF it, but I've been left no choice. Like, I cannot do it. Those were all the books in my TBR. I'm not gonna stop reading though, because I still have 13 hours left. So I'm gonna read Magnolia Parks, but I think I'm going to take a break for tonight. And I think I'm gonna read tomorrow. That was something, okay? It's something that I wish I could scrub my brain clear. Oh my god. I already feel like when books overdo smut, like they'll get together like halfway through and then it's just like constant smut for the rest of it, and I'm like, there's nothing there anymore. Like, there's no plot. It's just now they're together and now they're just gonna like be physical all the time. And in this, it's like, literally, it made me so uncomfortable because he's just like grabbing her at work, and it never like shows her initiating it first. He's just like coming over and grabbing her, and then suddenly they're like in the middle of this heated, I can't, like, I'm done. What's crazy is my dad bought me that book. Okay, everyone, I feel like I'm always wearing this jacket in my videos. The reality of it is I love it, and if I paid the money for it, I'm gonna wear it. I finished my reading for this week. It's Thursday, and I knocked out a lot of reading within 3 days, so that is fantastic. Now I'm a little behind on schoolwork, but I'm gonna pull up my Goodreads really quick because I do forget what books I started reading in this video, because I was reading for a different video at the same time and I wasn't counting those books in my 24-hour reading. I was trying to read like only physical books. The first book that I read for this video was The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I shared my thoughts about it. I had said what I needed to say. I've said more in my September wrap-up, so if you want to hear more there you go. This book just isn't for me. I found that I don't like Taylor Jenkins Reid's writing style. I don't know why. Like, I think it's the writing style. I don't know. But at the same time, it's like very simplistic writing, so there's no reason why I shouldn't like it. But for some reason, I just don't like her books, and it's things that I should enjoy. Like, this type of plot is something that like I would normally enjoy. I love music and I love concerts. I've read Daisy Jones and I didn't like it. I don't know why. Like, I have no idea why. I always give her books a chance anyway, because I know like it's just a me thing. It's nothing against her. I think this is where I'm gonna step back and say, like, unless there's a Taylor Jenkins Reid book that comes out that I'm like, oh my god, I have to read this, I'm probably not going to, because I don't want to just throw out bad reviews when it's probably a me issue. I didn't love this book. I rated it 2 stars again. I tabbed it up a little bit, but in reality, I just didn't like Evelyn, and I tried so hard to. I don't know, I felt really bad for Celia, and I just can't defend Evelyn. I don't know, it's so hard to talk about because it's like, I want to love this book so much, but I just can't. So I'm just gonna leave it here, and that's all I'm gonna say. Next, I read The Grimrose Girls. This one was another one that I thought like could be really interesting and I would really like, but I don't really care for YA books. I didn't like the way this book was set up. It was entertaining. I definitely think people could like it. I think I gave this 2.5, 3 stars. I just didn't really enjoy the plot. I felt like it was really slow moving, and I thought by the end of it we would have resolved the issue, because look at how thick this is. Like, you definitely could have resolved the issue, but instead it goes into a sequel, and I'm not going to be reading the sequel because this book was quite long enough to where I feel like we could have used some of our spare time in that plot to be focused on other aspects. Next, I read Twisted Love, which is currently sitting on my bookshelf. It's like literally one of the last books underneath, so I don't want to pull it out. It was just such vulgar smut. It was just past my comfort zone. It's just something that I'm not personally a fan of. The plot itself, really interesting, really like attention grabbing, but the plot just couldn't save the smut. Like, that's just a personal thing. It has great reviews otherwise. I think a lot of other people could really like it, but for my own taste, that was just way too much for me. Then I read 100 pages of Beautiful Bastard and DNF'd it. I really didn't want to DNF any of these books, but this was another situation where I was just incredibly uncomfortable. This is like workplace romance, but they start out just hooking up, and on the back of it, it says that he's not one for a workplace hookup. So the fact that literally 5 pages in, she's like bent over his desk, I was like, I feel like you're lying a little bit about something here. Something about this book that just really made me uncomfortable was the fact that like he would just start touching her, she would give in, but like there was no communication beforehand. Like, it was consensual. In her brain, she was like saying this is fine, like this is what she wants, but there was no like vocal communication of like, is this okay that he was doing this? And I'm good. Like, I didn't need to read any more of that. That was all of my September TBR. That's what I was trying to knock off, was just those 4 books, but because I DNF'd a book, I had time left, and I was 50 pages into Magnolia Parks and decided I should probably finish this and just use my remaining time for this. So I finished Magnolia Parks. Loved this book so much. I talked about it more in my September wrap up. I loved it so much. I know some people are gonna say that they disagree because of the toxic relationship. I 1000% agree that the relationship is very toxic, but it's a fictional book, you know what? And what matters is that it's entertaining, and I was thoroughly entertained and I loved it. For the remaining time, I've read Daisy Hates. I'm only like I'm 130 pages in. I'm not 70 pages. I'm 130 pages in. I'm really liking this. It's a much different setup than Magnolia Parks, and like it takes place in the same world, but it's 2 different girls. It's so interesting to see things from Daisy's point of view because she does not like Magnolia. Something else I really like about it is I've never read a book where it has like basically like where they have the numbers next to like the words and stuff, and then it takes you down to like footnotes. So it has this in there. I don't know if it's focused or if you can really see, but see how down here it has numbers and like just more like descriptive explanations. I think it's really entertaining that way. It feels really like interactive. I read a lot in that 24 hours. Go me. I knocked out a lot of my TBR and more. Make sure you guys go watch my September wrap up so you can get more in-depth details about these books, because that video did come out before this one. Thank you guys so much for watching. Happy reading, and I will see you guys when I see you.